All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of And That's That on That. Today we have a very, very, very special guest. Everybody welcome singer-songwriter Aidan Bissett.
Insert
Welcome
clap
to the
sound effects.
show. Thank you so much for being here. How is your day going? How's it been so far? It's like, what, 6 p.m.? It's been a full
Yeah,
day.
yeah, it's like 6. No, it's been really good. I really haven't done much today. It was like a really chill day. I had therapy this morning, so
Love.
Love therapy.
love that. Yeah, huge on that one. And then I'm very clean. I'm like a clean freak, so
Love.
I spent the day basically I've just been cleaning my house. So
Nice. That's
yeah,
huge. That's a huge productive day for you.
yeah.
I wish I could say the same. I have much to clean. I'm also moving out this week, so my apartment could not be messier.
You know what?
It's a disaster, but that's none of anyone's business.
That's neither here nor there, honestly. Well, one segment that we do, Aidan, on the show is we have a pit and peak to kick off the interview. So you can pick a pit of your week and then a peak. I know it's Monday, but like maybe we can go off the past week.
We just pretend it's like Friday or something.
Yeah, pretend it's Friday of last week. What is your pit and peak of the week? You can think about it if you need to.
Oh, I have it. This is so easy for
Oh,
me.
let's
actually.
go.
Let's hear it.
I went to a friend's show, which was great. It has nothing to do with the show. I was thinking that I was like going to go with a group and we were going to go out like afterwards. So I put together a pretty sick outfit and I was so wrong. Everyone went home and I used the outfit for 45 minutes and then went home and I was like, wow, this is so depressing.
Well, now you're
no.
allowed to wear it again because it wasn't really
Exactly.
seen for that long. So
True. I don't think it counted, right? So now
No,
I can wear it
didn't.
again.
No, not at all.
Definitely
No
not.
one saw. No one saw.
Okay, and
love
what
that.
about your peak?
My peak would be I went to Fashion Week last week, which was
Ooh,
really
Nice.
cool. I'm very passionate about fashion, so I got to be a part of I wasn't in the show, but I got to sit at my first show with some incredible people that I look up to. So it was just cool to like be there and witness it firsthand.
That's so
Definitely.
cool. I'm jealous. But now about you, Aidan. So let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up? Tell us all about it.
I grew up in Oregon, in a suburb outside of Portland. So kind of like small town energy, which I actually really loved growing up in. And when I was I started playing guitar when I was really young, but that was kind of always just a hobby for me. And it wasn't until I moved from Oregon to Florida, which is where all my like extended family is. That's kind of when I made the switch. I was playing football and on the track to play in college and all that stuff. And when I moved, I kind of just lost that passion and just like the only thing I had the only thing I had left was music or
Yeah.
guitar. So I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure out how to write. I'm gonna figure out how to sing. I was a horrible singer, like truly abysmal. It was actually a joke. Like my family used to like take voice recordings of me doing vocal warm-ups because they were funny and they're still funny to this day. I love them.
I mean, vocal warm-ups, that's not fair. Those always
not
sound
fair.
so
They always
bad.
sound bad. You know what? True. They always do me dirty, but no, that I don't know. I just kind of like locked myself away, especially during COVID, when everyone was already locked away. I spent literally all of my time on my computer watching YouTube videos on how to write and how to record and how to produce. And I really just fell in love with it. It became like learning a language to me. And that shared. I remember going to my first concert and like that was like the nail in the coffin for me. It was like being in a space where you could share such a like a visceral emotional response with a group
Yeah.
of people you don't
Yeah.
even know, you know. And after that, it was like yeah, that was it. I had to do it, you know. So yeah, it kind of like drove me down that path. And I had no social life when I moved, so my social life was music. And that's like the summarized version of how I got into it.
What was the first concert? What was the one that put the nail in the coffin?
This is so embarrassing.
This is a safe space.
This is a safe space.
Oh, dude. No, I love them. They're actually like the coolest guys, and their music's really good. It was a Wallows concert when they had like
nice.
That's not
no.
embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing. You're good.
You're gonna say like Gaga or something.
No. That would be sick. That'd be sick if it was God. No, it was like before they had like 3 singles out. It was like before anything. And I remember one of my friends was like, "Oh, we got to go see the show. They're really good." And I was like, "All right." And so like I studied up on their music before we left, and yeah, it was in the basement of like a hotel, and it was the first time I felt like really connected to people that I didn't know. And I think I've always struggled with connection and really finding deep connections with people, and it just felt really safe and also like ethereal. And I don't know how to explain it. It was just like a space where I could be myself, and I just wanted to feel that all the time, and I wanted people to feel that all the time or I could give people something that they could feel the same way too, you know?
Yeah.
When you first started dabbling in music, learning to write, learning to sing, how long do you think it took you from the point that you started until like you posted your first TikTok?
I was like figuring it out for a solid year before I started putting anything out online, because I wanted to at least put things on like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, whatever, that were like produced enough to where people be like, "Oh, this doesn't sound like a SoundCloud rapper or something." In the era of SoundCloud rappers. But yeah, it was probably about a year, and I was also fortunate enough to like have the time during COVID to like be separated from social situations, to where when I started, it was during COVID, and I didn't have to like commit social suicide in high school, because that was like a big deal. Like, you're posting on TikTok, you're posting on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? So weird. So I at least could establish myself a little bit before going back to school, which was nice.
How do you think that impacted like your confidence in, posting while not being in school? Like, did that kind of give you the boost that you needed to do that? Like, was it kind of perfect timing type of thing, or was there a lot of thought that went into that?
A little bit of both. I think it definitely for sure was the most ideal timing for me. I was
Yeah.
like struggling really hard socially. Moving across the country in the middle of high school is not an easy thing to do. And
Yeah.
I was already kind of on the outskirts socially, being the new kid. I went to an all boys school, so that was already tough. And doing something creatively, especially in an all boys school and in a place like Florida, is like very, very different than what they're used to. They're used to more like sports driven or academic or
Yeah.
whatever. So I was already taking a risk, and the COVID thing definitely helped, because I could at least take the risk before having to face anybody. And I still, I endured a lot of ridicule. I'm not gonna lie. But when I got back to school, I mean, my nickname was Music Man. Like,
Could be worse.
Well, it worked out for you. I mean,
yeah, and I'm so glad I did it, because like at the end of the day, high school does not matter. Like, I mean,
Yes.
oh,
obviously it matters.
1000%.
It matters to get educated, and it matters, graduate and stuff. But socially in high school, it doesn't matter. It seems so big and such like a big deal when you're in it.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did it, because like I don't. Yeah, you don't. As soon as you leave, it's like you don't worry about that stuff at all anymore. It's like the day you're done, you're like, oh wow, life is so much bigger.
Yeah.
1000%. But when you're in it, it's like whatever anyone thinks is like will determine how your day goes. Or like if you're being treated a certain way by a certain person, that's all you're gonna really think about. But it's huge that you went ahead and just posted. I mean, that could be, especially at an all boys school. I'm sure
I'd
you
be terrified.
faced.
I'd be terrified.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd be terrified too. But especially at an all boys school, did that affect kind of your anxiety of posting a little bit, of maybe like, since you were only surrounded by guys, and like that they would, probably be aggressive about it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a silver lining in it, to be honest. Like the environment of the school was very much like, bro, like
Yeah.
you're ratting on each other all the time. Like they show love in a way. Now that sometimes they don't, sometimes they are being mean, but like you guys making fun of each other is like how you guys grow, and how the guys
Right.
like, establish a bond in a relationship, because you go through all these things in high school, and they go through a level of hazing freshman year. Like, there's a lot of like layers to it. It's not just them being mean to be mean. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. And I think that helped me develop a little bit of thicker of a skin to when it did come around, when the music, I started posting and stuff. I was kind of already used to it, or I was used to getting put through the ringer a little bit, that when people started being like, man, music man, I was just kind of like, yeah, and what? Like,
Yeah.
it's what I love. And like, just because it's not a sport doesn't mean like it's weird and different,
Totally. Do you think that helped prepare you for any sort of hate or ridicule or criticism that you've received from when you kind of like blew up and got more traction and got more attention? Do you think that kind of prepared you a little bit for that criticism that everyone receives when you start like posting?
For sure. I think it definitely did a bit. Like I said, I think my skin was a bit thicker by the time things started moving a little bit, which was definitely a pro. But at the same time, like, internet hate is such a different thing. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't even know how to put it into words. I mean, I've been very fortunate to not have like experienced the full wrath
Yeah.
of internet hate, and I really hope that I don't have to go through that one day. But I'm sure,
Yeah.
but I feel like everybody goes through it at some point.
Right.
But I've experienced it a little bit, when a song comes out, or I remember early in my career, like when I was still trying to figure out my sound, and I was just kind of putting things out to put things out. Like, there was one song that people, like, my comments they were crazy, like all the like mean, like, oh, this shit goes fire on mute shit, like all
Oh my God.
The crowd goes mild.
like, yeah, the crowd goes mild, like literally all that, like railing my comments, and I'm just like, like that blows. But like, at the same time, like, I don't know, it's kind of funny to me, like,
Yeah.
if someone like really feels that violently about something that they have to comment
Literally.
like that, I'm just like, okay, that's kind of funny.
No, honestly,
Literally. They have too much time on their hands.
It's so fascinating to me that there's people who like take time out of their day to like hate on someone. Like, what do you gain from that?
Have you ever seen like one of your friends, like, I have not, but it would be jarring if I did. If you're like scrolling and you can see like hate comments on like an Instagram post or something, and all of a sudden you see like your friend's name and they're like saying hateful stuff. Like,
I don't think I
that would be
have.
so jarring. So it's like, who are these people that are like actually taking time to like fully write something negative next to their own name? Like, if I saw someone I knew, I'd be like, what the hell? That's so
Yeah.
weird. That's so strange.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird culture. It's like
Yeah.
the hate culture, and I think some of it's warranted. To be fair, I mean, there's always been, there's always,
Yeah.
there's always
Real.
been like, I mean, that might be a hot take, but I do think that everybody has a right to an opinion, and like,
Yeah.
and as harsh as that can sound, like there's a line for sure. You should never cross that line, but
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good to an extent. I think everybody should have a bit of like thick skin when you're in a business like music
Totally.
or acting or whatever. You're having to put yourself out there, and not everybody's going to like it. You have to expect that.
Totally.
I would be insane if I put music out and said, "This is gold. I am the god of music. Everybody has to love it." Like, that's a
Yeah.
crazy amount to have.
Yeah.
And so like when people like are dropping the hate comments or whatever, it comes with the job, and I think it makes every artist a little bit tougher at the end
Yeah.
of the day. So I think some of it is okay, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, controversy.
I know. I'm sorry.
Controversial take.
Okay,
No,
hot
but I agree.
take.
I do agree. I do agree. But I do want to know a little bit about your story in terms of how you got to where you are now. I have seen so many people like absolutely blow up on TikTok, and like lives were changed overnight. What was your experience with that? Because I definitely found your music through TikTok. I have a couple of friends who did the same. So curious what that process was like for you.
Yeah, it's funny. I have been very privileged and fortunate with TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. Like, when I look at like the numbers and stuff, and the success that I've had with TikTok, which again is incredible, it's still on like the smaller side of like, it's not like a a big viral moment, a hit song or anything, which honestly I'm very thankful for, because hopefully when that day comes, we've had the time to build the foundation to
Yep.
really uphold
Definitely.
a song like that. Um, I I have honestly really loved being able to like grind out while adding to the success of TikTok or Instagram. Since we haven't had that crazy viral moment yet, it's allowed me to like, you know, do opening runs, like grind it out on the road, like do van tours, and really like develop like real connections with people who listen to the music, and they like really rally behind the music in a way that I don't know would have necessarily happened if I did have like a massive success off the bat. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So and those apps are so great because they connect you to people all across the world. I think that's such a valuable and incredible thing. It allows you to like, you know, I, I I was fortunate enough to tour in a different country, and like people who don't even speak English like know the words to your song somehow. Like that's such an incredible
Yeah.
thing. So they're great tools to have, and been very privileged in using them.
So you're currently signed, right?
Yeah.
Was that deal like a product of you gaining traction on TikTok, or like what did that look like for you?
I actually I really didn't have much traction when labels started reaching out.
Really?
No, not really at all. I had put out two songs, which one had I think 100,000 streams on Spotify, and the other one had like just come out 2 weeks prior to like labels reaching out, so it had like no streams. And then I had a third one planned for like a couple weeks after that. I was doing like every month I was like releasing a song, and then I stopped that after 4 months.
Yeah.
But
That's a lot.
yeah, when I stopped, when I was doing it, it was that after the second song, and a couple labels had reached out, and I thought it was a joke. To be honest with you, I thought like, what? Why? So who's pranking me right now? Why are you contacting an 18-year-old in high school over DMs on Instagram? You know,
That's wild.
yeah, it's crazy. I thought it was a scam.
Yeah.
And when I started facilitating some of it, I like pulled out of school and I told my parents I was sick, and I hopped on Zoom calls, and I'm like sitting on these Zoom calls being like, oh my God, these are suits. Like these are like people in a real job doing very real things with real money. And they're expressing interest in whatever I'm doing as a teenager, um,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really cool and fascinating thing. But the success, like the TikTok stuff, didn't I like they were like courting me, right? So the labels go through this like courting period,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I have this song coming out next month, and they're like, okay, like I want to see what happens, like release it, whatever. They want to like see what happens. And it was a song called More Than Friends, which is now my most streamed song. But when I released it at the time, it was not viral, nor did it go viral really at all. It had this like gradual like uptick for months. Like it was just really slow growth for like probably 6 months. But I once I released the song, it got placed on like a TikTok sound playlist.
Oh
And
wow.
at the
Okay.
time,
Whoa.
yeah, at the time, that was like a really big deal. If you had a
Mm-hmm.
song placed on one of those playlists, because that was when TikTok was just getting into music, and they were driving a lot of interaction to those like playlists and those sounds to be used. So one of the TikTok reps had reached out, or somehow we got connected. I can't really remember how. It was over email somehow, and I sent her the song, and I was like, "Hey, it's coming out. Here you go." And then I woke up one morning to it being on a playlist, and then it was like I remember sitting in class and seeing all the like hype house kids use my song.
Wow.
And
That's funny.
I'm sitting in a free period, and like all my friends are texting me like, oh my God, those big TikTokers are using your song. And I'm like, what the hell? um, which was cool. And it was like right during that time when I started facilitating conversation with Capital, and we ended up coming to an agreement, and still with them today. I love them. They're so actually been so great about letting me do my thing, which I think seems to be, I don't know if this is true, but a lot of artists seem to struggle with that. So
Yeah.
um, been very fortunate that Capital has been relatively hands off when it comes to letting me be my own artist.
I've heard it go both ways. I've heard like people really struggling to, or they'll get, you know, millions of plays on TikTok, but like get no traction elsewhere, like on Spotify or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like what happened with you. Like it really can happen anyways. If someone listening was trying to get into music, kind of trying to follow your path, like what would you recommend?
Yeah. It's funny. I think today, the landscape for music today is so much different, even
For sure.
from what it
Yep.
was,
Constantly
3
changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constantly changing. It's so much different than what it was for me when I was starting 3 years ago. TikTok was just figuring out what music was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was people blowing up left and right. Like it was
Yep.
insane, the translation between a viral video to streaming consumption was like a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Which
That's
was
crazy.
unheard of, and really flipped the industry upside down. Now it's a little different. TikTok virality doesn't necessarily translate to stream.
Totally.
You could have a viral song on TikTok, but or the sound is viral or whatever, but the song has 1 million streams or whatever. It's not like charting or anything. So there's so many more factors that go into like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube success, which I think, to be honest with you, is not necessarily a bad thing for artist mindset. I
Yeah.
think when at the start, when it was like a surefire thing, it became this like addictive drug. It's like any artist was like, I need to do this. It's so possible. It's at my fingertips. I can do this. Anyone can do this. And created almost like zero barrier of entry, which has its pros too. You see a lot of great artists coming from that, or you saw a lot of songs that came and then you never heard from the artist again. Now now that there's like a little bit more of a barrier of entry, there's not necessarily a 1-to-1 streaming or a view to stream consumption. I think that it allows artists, not necessarily allows, but it kind of forces artists to have to develop their project again. It makes
Yeah.
it's not necessarily just about making a viral video. You have to build a world around your music. You have to, be touring. You have to be doing all these things that separate you as an artist rather than just being a musician. I think
Build your brand.
Yeah, build your brand. Branding is
Yeah.
so important. And I think
Yeah.
at the start of TikTok, it kind of took away branding, and now it's like really starting to come back, which I think is such an incredible thing. So this is a long-winded answer. My thought process on it is just like make things that make you happy. Like don't focus on an algorithm because it doesn't necessarily equate to anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what gets you going, and then build a world around your music. When you're posting, post in a way that like is like subject to you, like it's for you, and people will rally behind that. If you can build a brand and build a world, people want to get lost in it. Everyone wants an excuse to get lost into something new. So continuously post, build a world around it, and don't get discouraged if a song doesn't take off. I think a lot of people get this like pit in their stomach when they're like, shoot, like I'm not like, it's not taking off. But I guarantee, and I will stand by this, every song you put out, you go up just a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a huge spike, but you're taking one step up and one step forward. And if you're consistent, those steps, it'll start and it'll compound, and after 4 years, I know that's a long time, 3-4 years, you might be way farther ahead than where you thought of, or your foundation is really strong and you're just one song away from that moment happening. So I just say be consistent and like don't get discouraged if a song's not taking off. Just keep pushing forward because every step is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was very well said.
Very
That was very
motivating.
well said. That was gorgeous. But I do have a question now that we're talking about like your world, your brand, how you build your music. I see on Instagram you're working on your upcoming music. What can you tell us about that brand? Is it a different brand? Is it developing? Or what's the vibe of the new stuff you're working on?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So glad you asked about this. Like I said, I'm very into world building. I'm very into branding. So this will be like I don't want to give too much away, but it's a little sexier. It's more mature. It's playing into the idea of connection and being addicted to connection. My I went through a period of time, a realization period where I realized I was addicted to like finding connection and putting myself in situations where they weren't necessarily healthy for me or the other person involved, whether it's
Right.
friend or relationship. So it kind of explores that in some playful ways and some not so playful ways, which I'm really really excited to show. Even like visually, the photography, everything about it will be really 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 poignant and like cohesive. I want to play with I don't want to give too much away. I'm trying to like tiptoe around this so hard. But, I want it to be a little bit on the edge. I want I want it to be a little polarizing, especially visually. I think it's really cool when you can do something that people either, I don't know if I can curse, sorry. People
You can. You absolutely can.
people either like fucking hate it or they love it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I think it's so respectable when an artist is so sure of what they're doing that it doesn't matter to them that it's polarizing. I am not a huge fan of people playing it incredibly safe.
Hmm.
I think there's a place for it and that's awesome. And no hate on you if you are doing that. I just think it's more special when you can pick something out and be like, this is me, this is mine. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Don't listen to it. But like
Hmm.
my people and the people that are listening, we're gonna fucking love it.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm stoked. I'm stoked to hear it. It sounds like it's more like mature, is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah. I and I'm trying to find like better words to say mature, but that is the word. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it is sonically, lyrically, like it is a step. It really feels like a step forward. It's not just me writing another version of what the EP was.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is most definitely a maturation in sound, which is really exciting for me. I wanted to make it feel like a band got in a room together and recorded an album, and I really think we nailed that. And I'm a huge fan of texture, and there's a really cohesive texture all throughout the album, so it feels like one body of work. I'm very excited. I'm incredibly biased, which is this is very normal
That's
for an
fair.
artist, but I do feel good. And if again, like, and if it's not this one that takes off, it'll be the next one. And if it's not that, it's the next one. Like I'm not stopping anytime soon. So
Well, and it's cool too because like from where you started to now, it's like you're only gonna get better and better with every piece of work that you put out into the world. So there's growth there too, just in that sense as well. So that's something you can take with you.
Yeah. And I loved what you said about overnight success, how you're kind of happy that that didn't happen to you because it's so true. We see it time and time again, the one hit wonders or the like the viral sounds on TikTok that you can hear it and you know the song but you have no idea who the artist is. You have no idea who sings it. You're hearing it in like a million all over your FYP, but if someone asks you what it's called, you have no
Yeah.
idea. And that's the right way to do it, is step by step by step. And you're gaining that traction with that fan base that absolutely loves you and they're going to stick by you. So no matter what you do, but I'm stoked to hear this new music. Is it soon? Is it coming soon? I know you probably can't say, but
yeah, no, it's definitely soon. I'm like getting ready to turn everything in for mixing and mastering, which is so exciting. I'm so happy to be like done writing. Because I feel like I've said all that I can say. But on
yeah,
this tour that we're playing with Coin, I will be playing 3 new songs from it. So people who come to the
nice.
show will be able to hear pieces of it, which is going to be really exciting because they're really fun songs. I wanted to keep the set relatively like upbeat, so I picked some more of the upbeat ones for the show. So, but outside of that, I can't say any dates, but it won't
Yeah.
be too far after the tour. It's on its way.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Well, speaking of writing, I read that you are writing more about mental health. This kind of goes with the maturity vibe that you're talking about. Specifically, navigating depression, anxiety. Was that a difficult topic to write about? Was it something you've been wanting to write about? Or like, how did you decide to kind of start opening up a little bit more in your music?
Yeah, I think putting those like those anxiety and depression is really hard to put into words.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And so learning how to write about those things was a challenge. It took a long time to like be able to say the correct things or the things to articulate the things that I really wanted to say about anxiety and depression. I struggle with severe anxiety all the time.
You're
And
here.
and and like
Yeah.
and I think that like I wanted to be able to express it in a way that didn't feel like, oh, poor me. But more in a way of like I hope other people can hear this and feel the same in a way. But I realized while writing it, attaching something else to the anxiety and depression really helped bring out, the true meaning and the conviction, like what I was, what I was trying to really convey through the project, which I touched on earlier, which was, the addiction to connection thing. I have a lot of anxiety, most of my anxiety and depressive thoughts, um, stem from just longing for real connection,
Yeah.
whether it's
Mhm.
friendships or relationships, and being able to navigate that while writing is how I realized it was that a lot of that my anxiety. I didn't know where it was stemming from, and a lot of it comes from that. And while writing that and throughout the process is how I realized that, which was a really powerful experience. Being able to be like, wow, it makes so much sense now, and I can really turn this into a world and a story because it's something that is happening in real time.
Your therapist must be very proud.
It's funny is I just got a new therapist today.
Oh my God, that one was new.
Yeah, I was like out of therapy for a minute, which I knew I needed to be back in therapy,
Mhm.
but I just like kept pushing it off, and then it's just gotten to a point where I'm like, no, I need therapy, and I saw a new
Yeah.
therapist today, and she was honestly really great, so I'm stoked to like keep going and trying it out with her.
Did you do the whole like interview process with multiple therapists? Because I literally just did that
Yep.
like a few
Yep,
days
yep,
ago.
yep,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing finding therapists.
No, it
It
is.
is.
It's honestly like this sounds very weird, but it is kind of like dating in a way. Like you have to like really vibe with the therapist
Yeah.
because you're going to be seeing them every week, telling them your like deepest
Deepest, darkest
Yeah.
secrets.
Like they have to be, I don't know. I mean, also
They have to get it.
yeah, well, also every therapist is different in the way that their therapeutic technique
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, and I don't like to sit there and just like spill the entire session. I'm like, I want to hear what's going on with you.
No, literally.
Like, let's chat.
No, you know what happens every time I log on to therapy and they're like, "How'd your week go? How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" And then like she's like, "It's not the point of this. Like, it's not about
It's like
me."
you want to humanize them a little
Like-
bit, like so you can feel more connected.
Yeah,
You know?
she'll always be like, "I'm good. So what about you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, right. I'm not supposed to ask that. Got it."
Yeah. But I did interview this one therapist last week.
Interview was crazy.
Sweet, sweet lady, but I swear it was like it should have been a 10-minute call. She talked for about 30 minutes. And I
Oh,
was like,
no.
I know I said I didn't want to yap the whole session, but this is
This is
this is
overkill.
excessive.
Too much yapping. That's crazy.
Yeah. But we found one.
Love.
So we'll be seeing her next week.
Love. Look at us. Look at all of us.
We're so
taking care of
mentally
our mental
fit.
health. So
Yeah.
mentally
We're
fit.
so stable, guys. This is-
No, incredibly.
We're trying. We're getting there.
Yeah, I don't know about stable, but
Are we?
we're getting there.
Stable's a strong word.
Yeah.
A really
Stability
strong
is
word.
not in the room, but
Stability's not in the room with
it's
us
okay.
at the moment, but
We-
that's okay.
we'll meet her one day.
One day.
Well, before you go, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. This was so fun.
Yes,
But
thank
we
you.
want to know what is next for Aidan? What's coming up next? What are you stoked for? Besides like new music,
Besides the
obviously.
album,
The
yes.
album coming out, but what's next for you? What can you tell us?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm trying to think of other new things.
And if you don't have it, that's fine.
That's
I
totally
mean,
fine.
obviously the tour. That's like a big
Yeah.
one. So if you're thinking about coming to a show, now's the time, because it's with Coin and they're so good live, and their album just came out and it's also really good. So that's a big one. I don't know. I'm working on, it's just the album, to be honest with you. It's like just getting all these pieces. I'm putting together some really cool, I don't want to call it merch because it's really not, but just there's stuff, physical things around the album that I think is really special as well, that I think anybody can wear as if you're a fan or not a fan, which I think people should look out for because it's pretty sick, and I don't think anyone's doing it right now. So,
ooh, I'm excited.
Love that.
We're gonna have to come to a show.
No, I was just gonna say, because I was telling him that they're not coming to Phoenix, and I'm heartbroken.
Are you coming to LA though?
No, not there. It took their East Coast legs. Like we're all like,
I'm gonna have to just fly to the closest city
to the East Coast. We'll see you on the East Coast.
Well, I'm trying to think like the
quick
closest. I don't remember the closest. We play like some Middle America stuff, so like it's not like fully East Coast. You know?
We fly to Kansas.
we fly to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Another final question that we try to ask every one of our guests.
When we remember.
If you had the chance to talk to your younger self when you were first starting out, first learning music, like learning to write, all of that, what would you tell him? Words of wisdom.
That's so great. Don't be a little bitch.
Real,
very real.
Yeah, I mean, I'd honestly tell him that, and just like find. I think I would tell myself to find happiness in the little things. I tend to be focused a lot on the future, and I would tell myself to take time in the present and realize the good things you got.
Very true. My therapist told me that that's called future tripping.
I future trip all the time, dude. What the
all
fuck?
the time.
I overdose on future tripping.
Well, thank you so much, Aidan. We appreciate it. It was very nice to meet you, and best of luck with everything coming your way.
Have fun on the tour.
Yeah.
Want more of And That's That on That? Follow us on social media @And That's That Pod to stay in the loop with new episodes, behind the scenes content, and so much more. Tune in every other Thursday, wherever you stream podcasts. And that's That on That.